Good morning. We are just getting off the Carnival Ecstasy for the last time anyone will ever get off the Carnival Ecstasy ever. It's kind of sad, but we had a wonderful time. And I heard some people say that they would never do a final sailing again, which is Carnival really supposed to be retiring other ships in the next coming years? I think.
I'm sure they will eventually, but there's nothing announced or
So
scheduled.
this doesn't really matter, but
And this is the first time they've ever done like a true final sailing send away. Most of the last few ships that have left the fleet in the last couple of years left during COVID, so they just were sold during the shutdown, so there was no finals. The people that were ended up on the last sailing of it had no idea they were on the last sailing of it.
But you do have that thought, like, since it's the final sailing, is the service going to be worse, or are we not going to get taken care of? And we had some folks at brunch yesterday kind of claiming that their experience was less than great, and I never felt that way. Did you feel that way?
No, not at all. I felt like I was actually surprised how they kept last night, which was the last night that the ship would ever have passengers on it. I saw someone squeegeeing off some of the glass panels on one of the balcony overlooks in the atrium. They're just constantly still cleaning, constantly maintaining. And these people that were complaining, it sounded to me like their biggest complaint was that the coffee shop ran out of sugar-free caramel.
Yeah, ridiculous.
So, that could happen on any cruise. It doesn't mean that they just decided not to stock it because it was the last one.
Yeah.
They just ran out of something. But we didn't feel like anything was done halfway or less than. Everything. If you didn't know, if they didn't constantly talk about that it was the final sailing, from just a cruise experience perspective, I don't think you would have been able to tell.
No, it was a great cruise. And quickly, we posted a little bit about our excursions in Cozumel and Progreso. We had great excursions. The first day in Cozumel, we kind of did our own thing. We rented a little buggy car and went over to a cenote. We hiked through a forest that we kind of found ourselves in. And those are always fun. It's always fun just to find something to do like that. But if you want to go back and watch our story, I did put it on our bubbles so that you have the name of where we were if you ever wanted to visit there. It was a lot of fun. The water was a little smelly, but we didn't come out smelling like the sulfur water at the cenote that first day. That was Jade Caverns. The second day was Progreso, and we actually took a tour from the Carnival ship. So that was a Carnival tour, which is a good thing because we literally got back 4 or 5 minutes before the all aboard time. And so that was a little terrifying, but we went over to see Chichen Itza and another cenote that day. That was a larger cenote, and there was a lot more people there, so that was a lot of fun. I would highly recommend. This was our first time seeing cenotes in Mexico and swimming in them, and that was an incredible experience. It's like something out of a movie when you go to these things. It's all natural. The water's crystal clear in most of them, and there are over 2,000 of them in Mexico, in the Yucatan Peninsula. So definitely something to check out if you come to Mexico. But overall, the cruise was wonderful. We had great food all week. We had great service, and we do not want to come home. The interesting thing to watch over the next couple of weeks is the ship's actually going to be beached, right? Actually driven onto the land.
Yeah, November 4th, I think, is when they're supposed to arrive in Turkey. And the ship is being sold to a salvage shipyard company that does this thing. And but the captain actually has to beach the ship. He said it'll be like full speed ahead, right up on some beach that's
made for that.
Made for this kind of thing.
Yeah. So that's crazy. And there's going to be still a crew because they have to get the ship across the Atlantic. Right? They're going across the Atlantic.
A crew of about 100 people.
Yes. So they have to feed all those people and all these things, but most of that crew will be taken off the captain's train to beach the ship. It'll hit the shore, and then they'll actually take all of the crew, everybody that remains, off by crane. So I'm hoping that there will be a video of that, because that will be an interesting thing to see. But this is, like Dusty said, this is the first time they've done any kind of sailing to honor the ship before they retire it. So it was kind of a new thing for Carnival. So hopefully they'll follow through and we'll see some video footage of the actual beaching part. But the cool thing was they did auction off, yesterday they had an auction of a lot of things from the ship. They auctioned a life preserver, a life vest. They auctioned the actual binoculars from the bridge that the captain used just yesterday morning. They auctioned
some signage.
Lots of signage. You know, there's cases on every cruise ship that they display the memorabilia from the maiden voyage, and just lots of different things. Plaques from where ports that they've been. Yeah. So they took everything out of those cases like the second day of this cruise, and they were just empty. And so we were wondering, you know, what all they were going to auction and what the other items were, because they auctioned a lot of stuff. But one of the things that they did auction was a plaque from when the Ecstasy was actually in Jacksonville. It was ported in Jacksonville 2019, right? 2018, 2019.
Pretty much the whole 2019 up until the COVID shutdown in March of 2020.
Yep. So during the auction, which got incredibly, all the money that was raised for the auction went to St. Jude's, and it got incredible traction. Like some of the things went for $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. So it was amazing, and they raised over $25,000 just during that auction for St. Jude. But they did not
$40,000 for St.
total
Jude's for the cruise itself.
For the cruise, they did not auction the plaque from when the ship was in Jacksonville. So we were like, oh man, that stinks, because we were actually going to bid on it. And so after the auction was over, I walked up to the cruise director and I said, hey, listen, we're from Jacksonville. We were going to bid on that plaque from when it was ported in Jacksonville. What happened to the plaque? You know, we didn't see it called out. And he said, oh, actually, it's going back to the Carnival headquarters to be displayed there, which I don't know why they would choose the Jacksonville plaque to display.
I mean, they chose a lot. There were lots of plaques that didn't get auctioned. So yeah. I guess they just separated some into a keep pile and some into an auction pile.
So I said, well, I was actually going to bid on it. And he said, well, how much did you want to bid? And I told him. And he said, okay, well, let me call, I guess, their staff manager or whoever he needed to call. And he did. And we were able to bid and give a donation for St. Jude, which, you know, means more than the plaque, obviously. But they gave us the plaque. So we got the plaque in our room, and we were able to leave with a piece of the Ecstasy that's now going to be retired. So that was pretty cool.
It's neat because it's a piece of the ship, but it's also a connection to Jacksonville, which is home.
So we had a great cruise. Looking forward to the next trip that we take, which is probably going to be another trip to New York in the winter time. Well, we're going to Ecuador actually on a missions trip, but that's going to be a very busy working trip, and never been to Ecuador, third world country like that. So be sharing details from that and our upcoming trips as well. If you have any questions about this cruise or sailing to Mexico in particular, feel free to reach out, and we'd love to answer any questions. See you later.